Hi, my name is Celie and welcome back to the Little Reader's Corner. Today we're talking about my current reads, what I've recently read, what I have started and not finished, what I'm about to start. So this is just a little check-in, see what's going on, see what's happening, because I've started quite a few books. I'm unsure if I want to finish some of them. That's where you come in. Have you read some of these? What are your tips? What are your thoughts? And let's talk about some of the books I want to start reading next. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, we're going to start off with some recently read books. So I'm just going to touch on 3 of these because I am going to have a little bit more of an in-depth review for my recent reads wrap-up video about all of the books that I've read so far this year that I still haven't talked about. But for now, let's just touch on the 3 that I have read most recently over the past month. The first of which is Happy Place by Emily Henry. So I just finished this. The vlog where I'm reading it will be coming out soon, but it is quite a lengthy vlog. It's like the longest vlog I've ever filmed. Right now it's looking at about an hour long, so that's gonna take some time. You will see more of my thoughts while I'm reading this in there, but I read this very quickly. I think I finished it within 3 days when I had a week off of work for specific reasons that you'll find out in the vlog. I am a big fan of Emily Henry. I have read all of her adult romances except for one, which I will be getting to very soon. And I still need to test out her YA books. But in terms of adult romances, I loved this so much. She just has a way with describing scenery and characters where her characters feel so dynamic and realistic. They are flawed. They feel like they have more complex backstories, like they have full fleshed out personalities. And she just creates such fun plots where a couple days can pass or you can be sitting within an hour, and no matter what, it feels fast-paced and it doesn't feel slow. It feels like you're just moving at a regular pace within the story, and I love that. So within this story, the main character goes on her annual summer vacation trip to, I think it's in Maine, with her best friends that she's had since her freshman year of undergrad. And hang on, now I need to turn off the AC. All been friends since undergrad, and they've been doing this annual vacation to, I think it was in Maine. But her and one of the other people in the group, they were previously engaged and they've broken up since, and they haven't told the rest of the friends. So it's a type of fake dating where the 2 of them are pretending to have not broken up, to have stayed together, because there's a lot of other things going on with the group and they feel that that's just the right decision to keep this going and tell them at a later point in time. This was so well done. I loved it so much. Next, I read The 6 Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow. This is a very short story, a short book. And I listened to it on audiobook, and it was about 40 minutes. I listened to it at like 1.2 speed, so I read it within 30 minutes. And it was amazing. Like, it was so good. It's a high fantasy. You briefly are thrown into this world where there is a warrior who is fighting for the king. It starts off with when the king was a prince and she was just kind of getting started in this role. And it's about her. Every time like she dies in battle, she's resurrected and she goes back to work, and her entire life has been dedicated to this. And she thinks she's doing it for the love of the king because he loves her and she loves him. But that's actually not the case. And the fact that more story and like more character and plot was told within these 40 minutes, and I think it's like a 30-page book, than in a lot of high fantasies that are like very lengthy, goes to say something, I think. The next one that I read was Witchy, and this is by Ariel Slamit Rise. So this is a graphic novel. This is the first volume in it, and it took me like 2.5 weeks to read, even though I read the first chunk of it within a day. But after that, I just didn't want to continue it. I only had like 30 pages left and I just didn't want to keep reading. It just felt like it made a lot of junior level mistakes in writing. I was just not at all gripped by the story. It felt like it had a really interesting premise and the author just didn't capture that. It just felt lackluster, and it's basically, it has an intense start when it feels like it's like a YA story, but like it's like very dark at first, which is fine. You can have dark YA. It's just, it felt like it wasn't really handled with care, if that makes sense. Yeah, and a lot of the characters felt like they were really on the surface, and the author just could have gone so much deeper, and the main character felt so dislikable, and I feel like that's not what the author was going for. I don't know. Anyways, so the story is about this society where I think everyone's witches, or certain people are witches, and if you have a certain amount of strength, you're conscripted into like the National Guard, but if you have too much power, you are executed. So the main character's father has, and also the way that you can tell how much power someone has is by the length of their hair, which is interesting. So the main character's father has like really long hair, and within like the first 10 pages he's executed, and so the main character is completely scarred by this. And then later the main character also has really long hair and is terrified of something similar happening, so the entire length of the story they're like disguising the length of their hair, and then they run away and like all these things happen, and the whole time I just wanted the story to end. It was like so close to being something great and interesting, and it was just bleh. So those are the 3 books that I read. Now on to all the things that I'm currently reading. So firstly, I am still reading Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am really enjoying it. There's no specific reason that I haven't finished it yet, except for the fact that I'm about to graduate with my master's degree. I just changed jobs and I just moved. So I guess besides for those 3 very major life events, there's no other reason. Anyways, so I am about, let's say 1/4 of the way through. I'm really enjoying it. I think the main thing to know is it's about tennis. Like, it is about tennis, and it's amazing, and I don't care about tennis, and this is making me care about tennis. But like, if you really don't care about tennis, just something to know going in, because I think it just really makes me sad when people very much know that they don't like a certain subject, and then they try to read a book about that subject and they hate the book because they don't like the subject. I'm like, well, what did we expect? And then they go rampant. I'm not referring to anyone specific, just saying in general. So this is about a tennis pro who she started very young. Her father was also a professional tennis player, and he starts coaching her. She's been doing this all her life. Then she starts getting injuries, and she kind of peaks in her career. She's the #1 tennis player, and then she retires at like 25, which I think is normal. Then it goes to a later perspective where someone has beaten her record, and I think she's in her 30s, and so she decides to come out of retirement and start again. So it's kind of told within these dual perspectives of the present moment where she's older and she's deciding to return, and when she's younger and she's first starting off in her career. I am really enjoying it. As I said, it's tennis. It's straight up tennis, but like I've been very neutral about tennis. I played tennis. I had like the top score for amount of tennis balls hit into the neighboring pool. So clearly I was very talented. So it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to continuing it. It's just, there's so many things going on. So hopefully soon. Next, I have been reading not this version, but actually the German translation of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So it's Die Sieben Männer der Evelyn Hugo. And I actually started reading both of the Kindle ebook of the German translation, as well as listening to the audiobook, because I was practicing for my German language test, which, just a very quick rant on that. German is literally my first language. For my Master's of International Affairs program, I had to take the language test, and even though I'm fluent and I've been speaking it my entire life, and I was gonna pass it, and I did pass it, but I was still so paranoid. So I just wanted to consistently be reading and listening to German, because I don't do it as frequently in my usual life because I live in the USA. So I was rereading a favorite and listening to it on audiobook, and it was great. And I want to finish the German edition because it's very good. I mean, I already loved the story in English, and the German translation is amazing. So if you read German, I highly recommend the German translation. If you don't know about this book, it's basically in the era of like the golden era of Hollywood. It's this woman who comes from an immigrant background, and she wants to be a part of like the star-studded Hollywood. So she changes her last name, she bleaches her hair blonde, and she kind of like steps into this role of being a Hollywood starlet. And throughout her life, she has a lot of loves, and she has a total of 7 husbands, which everyone thinks is ridiculous. And it kind of goes into that story, and there's also like, there's some twists and turns, and it's just beautiful. So love it. Next up, I also started reading A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling. I've heard rave reviews about it. There's like 4 books at this point, and I've been meaning to read it. I have like the 3rd book that I got as an ARC somewhere on these shelves. So I was like, well, I got the 3rd one, so I gotta read the other ones. And I'm stuck on like the 60% mark, or like 70%. Like, I'm very far through, but it's really pissing me off. So I don't know if I can make myself read the rest of it. I'm like so far, but I don't want to keep, you know, reading a book that I'm not enjoying. So I'm trying my best. But so the whole premise is it's like a modern Hades and Persephone retelling. Persephone is going to college for journalism, and she's also interning at a newspaper in like this like modern Olympus city, and she's trying to investigate Hades for his crimes. Except this woman is a horrible journalist. She is so bad. She is breaking the ethics of journalism left and right, which I understand. This is a spicy book. It's not supposed to be about the journalism. But if I have to read about her just like completely disregarding journalistic ethics and putting people at risk and just, oh my God, discrediting the entire name of the newspaper that she works for in order to get to these spicy scenes, like, I'm sorry, it's not worth it. I tried skipping all of the slog to get to the spice. I still can't do it. She pisses me off. I cannot stand her. So if you've read this book, please let me know if you like it, if I should keep reading. I think it's because I worked in journalism for like 3 years. I can't get past it. I'm like, basics of journalistic ethics, she's just completely disregarding it, and it's so bad. She is like literally criminal offenses. I'm like, girl, I don't know how this newspaper lets her write these stories and have an internship. She's literally defaming Hades and spewing slander. Like, she's not even good at investigating. I'm like, girl, oh my God, oh my God. Moving on. Lastly, I'm also reading Meeting Millie. So this is by Claire Ashton. I just started it, and oh wait, there's another one I'm also reading, but back to this one. So it's about these 2 women who met when they were in law school together. They became very tight, very close, and one of them was in love with the other one for like the entire time but never told her. And then something happened, and they haven't spoken for like 10 plus years since. Then all of a sudden they meet each other again at this like alumni law school dinner, and they kind of pick back up to like this like quirky little friendship that they have. And that's all I'm gonna say. So I am enjoying it. It is a little more slow paced than I want it to be. It feels like it's kind of dragging its heels and we're not really getting to the point. but it is very cute and I really want to see where it goes. So I'm still reading that. And the last one that I'm reading is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zavin. And I think I'm like 100 pages in or so. I'm like 30-ish%, I think. And I am enjoying it. I have gotten a lot of recommendations to read this book. One of my former colleagues told me to read this book, and I'm finally getting to it. I finally got my library loan in for it. So I am currently reading it and I am really enjoying it. It's about two people who met as kids who kind of felt like they were like outsiders, and they met and connected, and then something happened and they didn't speak for years, and then suddenly ran into each other when they were older, when they were both in their undergraduate degrees, and they were running through a train station. So they originally connected because they both were lovers of video games, and one of them is currently in a video program, and one is currently studying video game programming, and the other one, he's doing like mathematics or something, but he's still like, this is his love. And they start making a game together, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. They're making a game together and they later become like game making colleagues, and it feels like it's leading to some kind of big event maybe. Like, what happened? Did they become estranged? Who knows? So I am really enjoying it. It's gotten a lot of awards and a lot of people have said that it's amazing, and I think a lot of people feel really emotional about it. So I'm still reading that. So that's what I have read and I'm currently reading. And now let's talk about the few books that I am looking forward to picking up next. So I think this next weekend or the following weekend, I'm going to start Tide Song by Wendy Xu. So Wendy Xu wrote Mooncakes, which I absolutely loved. It's another graphic novel, and I've been meaning to start this one for a while, and then recently when I moved I got this one. So I'm so excited. It looks so cute. So it's about Sophie, who isn't great at magic, but her family wants her to attend a magic academy, and they send her to train with distant relatives. There's a young water dragon who is trapped in a human form. There are a lot of mistakes that Sophie makes along the way, and she is trying her best to right those mistakes. It looks super cute. I love Wendy's artistic style as well as her storytelling, so I am really looking forward to reading this one. And then last of all, I really want to start One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. Olivia Blake wrote the Atlas 6. I still have to read the second book in the Atlas 6 series. I am getting there. But in the meantime, I also picked up this one. This is also kind of dark academia, but it's witches in Brooklyn. And there's also some lore tangled with Baba Yaga. Yeah, so there's magical Manhattan, and there's kind of like a family rivalry between these two groups in magical Manhattan. There's conflict and there's empires clashing. Both these families kind of have like their own criminal empires within New York. So looking forward to reading that one as well. So please let me know if you've read any of these books, if you have any thoughts on these books, if I should keep reading some of the ones that I'm currently reading, or if there are other books that you're currently reading that you highly recommend. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.